Hey guys, Ryan here. And if you ever wondered what separates the average Joe from a pro Warzone player, then that's what I'm going to explain in this video right here. I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is how good players are proactive and bad players are reactive. It doesn't matter if you're talking about wins or kills. If you have one squad who's proactive about getting wins or kills, and you have one squad that's reactive about getting wins or kills, the squad who's proactive is going to win 9 times out of 10. So let's put it like this. If you have a squad, they land, they get their loadout as quick as they can, they get really good guns, they call in the UAV, they see the dots on the mini map, they ping it, and they push as a squad. What squad do you think is going to get the kill? That squad or the squad they're landing on? Because 9 times out of 10 is the squad with the loadout. And how do you think they got that advantage? Because they were proactive. So when they landed, they had a plan. They had a purpose. And it doesn't matter if you're going for kills or wins. This all applies the same. Because if you're going for a win, who do you think is going to have better odds of copying the dub? The squad that rotated early and got the power position? Or the squad who just spent all game doing nothing but looting and grabbing random contracts and never really pushing to get power position? Which one do you think is going to win? I can already tell you, we already know it. It's the whole point of what I just said. You already get it. But what I'm trying to say is you have to have a plan, guys, and you have to execute that plan. So if your plan is to get kills, once you land, you need to get good loot, because you aren't going to get a lot of kills if you have bad loot. And there's good ground loot to use. So if you find good ground loot, that's great. But if you don't, then you have to loot up, try and find money to get a loadout. And once you do that, then you want a UAV. And okay, maybe you don't need a UAV, but now you need to find people to kill, and you need to be proactive. Same thing with getting a win. If you want to get the win, you need to find the places to rotate to. You have to understand how to rotate there, and then you have to understand, once you rotate there, how are you going to hold that position, and how are you going to actually win and execute the win. And this all has everything to do with the second tip, and that's positioning is everything. So when you watch a good player, when you watch a bad player, all of the tiny little details of positioning are how you can just instantly tell. So good players, the 3 things you notice them do is they're going to play high ground, they're going to play head glitches, and then they're going to hug cover. Let me break down each of those in a row. So let's begin with high ground. The issue with high ground that I notice a lot of average players make is they make the mistake of not understanding that if you can see everyone on the map, well, you're exposing yourself to a lot more line of sight, and they can probably see you as well. Unless you're really on a super good head glitch or something like that, high ground is a double-edged sword. You have to be cautious with it, but it's also a known power position, and it's going to put you at a natural advantage. The second part is head glitches. So if you don't know what a head glitch is, it's just a certain bit of cover. When you stand behind it, it's going to cover almost everything but your head, and you're going to be able to shoot and aim freely, and all they can see is your head. Once you learn to identify head glitches and actually use them in gameplay and gunfights, you're going to be at such a big advantage. If you're facing controller players, guys, they barely get aim assist because your hitbox is hidden behind the cover. And the other big part is, if you ever notice, whenever you get shot in Call of Duty, your guy will always flinch a little bit. This is just a natural thing they have in the game. It's called flinch, whatever, it's part of the game. But if you're on a head glitch and you're hitting someone and they're dealing with flinch, they're going to have an extremely difficult time hitting you on the head glitch. So what I'm going to talk about next might be the most important part of this whole video, and it's going to be to hug cover. Always be aware of your proximity to cover, because cover is safety. By being able to break line of sight on your opponent, you're going to be able to make space to reload, you're going to be able to make space to plate, and you're also just going to win gunfights. Watch this guy in the background, guys. I'm going to literally just completely destroy his camera to the point he can't even get a single bullet on me. And that was all done because I was focused on actually playing close to cover. If you're just not focused on how close you are to cover, it's going to be too late. Once you get in a gunfight like that, you aren't going to have the opportunity to make a play and do something like that because you weren't preemptively thinking about your proximity to cover. Okay, that is just a ridiculous alliteration. All right, we're going to move on to the third tip here, and that's that fundamentals win games, guys. Now, I'm going to sound like a high school basketball coach because my high school basketball coach probably used this exact same saying like 20-30 times at practice, but it actually applies and it makes perfect sense. There are 4 skills that make up a good Warzone player. 1 is going to be your game sense, 2 is going to be your positioning, 3 is going to be your aim, and 4 is going to be your movement. And I would also say those are all ranked in importance to me. If let's say you had average aim and you had average movement, but you had super good positioning and super good game sense, but you're probably going to be a pretty good player. And in fact, I think you'd probably be better than someone who had decent aim and decent movement and not so good game sense and positioning. You could have the theoretical greatest aim and movement in existence, but if you're always caught out in the open, if you're always running into 4-man squads who have better loot than you and are playing smart, you aren't going to win. And that doesn't mean you should ignore things like your aim and movement. No, they're important. They're part of the core fundamental skills. But the reason I have them ranked below the other ones is because they aren't as important. As I said before, you can have average aim, you could have average movement and still be a super good Warzone player as long as you are a smart player. And I think that's the big thing. All of those skills though, you do want to work on with time, because at the end of the day, who do you think is going to win a 1v1 in the final circle? The person who has really good aim or the person who has alright average aim? If I were you, what I would do is I would look at all 4 of the things I just listed as the core skills and think about which ones you're weak in. Because if it's movement, if it's aim, if it's your positioning, if it's game sense, whatever it is, that's what you need to work on. This is how you're going to take yourself from whatever skill level you're at now to being a much better player. And don't underestimate things like movement, guys. I know it can seem daunting and overwhelming thinking about the task of getting really cracked in good movement. I get that. It is. And it's just like what I've learned with other games like Apex and whatnot. But once you actually embrace it and you just learn it, it's so rewarding. It's worth it. There's people like me who makes videos on these things. There's a ton of different content creators who do. There's a ton of different sources. And once you learn the skill, it's addicting. It makes the game more fun. And it's just part of Warzone and how Warzone is going to be for a long time. They tested out Warzone, guys, with Warzone 2 and removing a lot of the core movement and things like slide canceling. And it wasn't popular. It was so bad, in fact, that immediately after, or 1 year after, they brought back slide canceling, they brought back the movement, and movement is going to be a core part of the Call of Duty franchise from here on out. And if that bothers you listening to this video, I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I don't want you to feel intimidated. I want you to embrace that, because it is fun. It's fun to zoom around. And even if you feel like, oh, dude, I'm old, I don't have those reflexes, I can't do it. No, you can. I promise you can. It doesn't require you to be some cracked youngin'. I'm 27, guys. It's not like I'm 18. I don't play 8 hours a day, guys. I work a job. I have a life outside of Call of Duty. But I can still do outrageous things. And yes, I have an advantage. I did play competitive Call of Duty. I have thousands of hours. I was able to play against pros in Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 3. But guys, still, my whole point is you don't have to be some 18-year-old cracked out, you know, little sweat lord to have cracked movement or to even have good movement. You can be a 40, 50-year-old quote-unquote boomer and still have good movement, still have good aim, because you're going to be smarter. You're going to be quote-unquote more wise, and you're just going to have more sense, guys. I swear. You're going to have more quote-unquote common sense, more game sense. You're just going to treat things differently. Anyways, guys, it's been Ryan. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you have a good day. Peace.